Gospel of John. When Jesus arrived at Bethany, he was told that Lazarus had already been in his grave for 4 days. Bethany was only a few miles down the road from Jerusalem, and many of the people had come to console Martha and Mary in their loss. When Martha got word that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary stayed in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." "Yes," Martha said, "he will rise again when everyone else rises, at the last day." Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying. Everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never ever die. Do you believe this, Martha?" "Yes, Lord," she told him. "I have always believed you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world from God." Then she returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and told her, "The teacher is here and wants to see you." So Mary immediately went to him. Jesus had stayed outside the village at the place where Martha met him. When the people who were at the house consoling Mary saw her leave so hastily, they assumed she was going to Lazarus' grave to weep, so they followed her there. When Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. "Where have you put him?" he asked them. They told him, "Lord, come and see." Then Jesus wept. The people who were standing nearby said, "See how much you loved him." But some said, "This man healed a blind man. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying?" Jesus was still angry as he arrived at the tomb, a cave with a stone rolled across its entrance. "Roll the stone aside," Jesus told them. But Martha, the dead man's sister, protested, "Lord, he has been dead for 4 days. The smell will be terrible." Jesus responded, "Didn't I tell you that you would see God's glory if you believe?" So they rolled the stone aside. Then Jesus looked up to heaven and said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me, but I said it out loud for the sake of all these people standing here, so that they will believe you sent me." Then Jesus shouted, "Lazarus, come out." And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. Jesus told them, "Unwrap him and let him go."
1, 2.
Thank you, Hannah. It's kind of hard to know where to start with a service about death, particularly as I think in Western society, we don't talk about death very much, particularly in Britain. We've got this stiff upper lip and all. That is exactly why I wanted to give it space tonight, and why I think it is so important to me personally to observe celebrations and feasts in the liturgical calendar, such as All Souls. It's a day when we remember all those who've passed. All Saints on the 1st typically is where we celebrate the saints, and then All Souls is for all of the faithful departed. I think how little time we tend to give to our grief. You could see it in sort of everything around kind of how we deal with death. Bereavement leave in the UK, the only one that is covered by UK employment law is the death of a child. You get 2 weeks. Most employers will give you 1 day for a funeral if someone dies, but they probably will stipulate what legal relationship you have with that person before that grief is allowed to interfere with your work. And in other aspects of our culture as well, I think we see it. Gone are the days when it was the loved ones and family that cared for the body and washed the body after somebody died. Now it all happens kind of sort of far away from us. Unlike in Ireland, where the traditions remained, we don't have wakes in our homes anymore, and I can imagine most of us, if we're not in the medical profession, we've probably never even seen a dead body. And all of this, I think, serves to kind of remove us from death, and it's not something we like to think about and try and avoid being confronted with it as much as possible. Because it is really difficult to face death and to deal with death, as anybody who's lost a loved one will know all too well. An often quoted saying about grief is that it's love with no place to go. And I think that, like lots of popular sayings about life's inherently complex experiences, I think that can flatten or simplify a complicated truth about grief. But I think there is some truth in it. So that's what I would like to give space to tonight. To hold space for our grief and to give our love that we hold for the people we've lost somewhere to go. Whatever that looks like for us in this moment, and acknowledging that often we have more complicated experiences around grief as well. Love is not the only emotion we feel towards people when they're alive, and it's also not the only emotion present in our grief after we've lost them. But it seems like death is all around us at the moment. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. Millions of people over the past 2 years have been killed across Gaza, Sudan, Congo, and other places in the world wrought with war and conflict. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be observing Trans Day of Remembrance, where we list the names of all the trans people who died the last year. There will be hundreds of names on that list, as there are every year. And how we make sense of death, both personal losses in our own lives and the death that seems to surround us in innumerable numbers around the world. It's a very personal thing. And in a community as diverse as ours, I have no doubt there will be lots of differing opinions about what happens to us after we die. And that's why I wanted to focus on the story of Lazarus today, instead of the typical New Testament readings that are in the liturgy for All Souls Day, which focus around, hope and the resurrection and hope for the faithful departed, because we're going to see them again. The faithful don't really die, as Jesus does say in this passage. But I wanted to look at Lazarus instead. In this story, Martha and Mary are very understandably upset. They knew that Jesus had the power to heal Lazarus, I don't think that's in doubt. But he didn't arrive in time to do anything about it. Or so they think. Their brother's just died, so they're angry and they're upset, they're weeping, completely understandable. What I find more striking is Jesus' anger in this story. Some commentators and preachers interpret this anger as being directed at Mary and Martha and the villagers for not having enough faith and believing that he can heal Lazarus. But I don't like that interpretation. I think anybody who describes Mary or Martha as unfaithful hasn't paid attention to any of their stories. I mean, in this passage alone, Martha says she not only declares that she knows she'll see Lazarus again at the final resurrection, but she also affirms her belief in Jesus as the Messiah, something that a lot of the disciples didn't get at this point. And that idea of Jesus being angry at people for not having faith also doesn't sit very well with the Jesus that I know. Jesus that I know faced fear, desperation, anger, anguish in the Garden of Gethsemane. The Jesus I know is painfully, beautifully human, and he knows the exquisite pain of loss just as well as we do. So it's striking to me that Jesus is angry here and that he weeps, because he's already declared what he intends to do. He walks into this village knowing that his friend has died, and knowing that he's going to go raising from the dead in a moment, and that it will be a sign to all of those who see. And yet, when confronted with the pain of this loss and the tears of his friends, he gets angry and he weeps. It strikes me that, in the kind of a lot of the spaces that I grew up in, the more kind of evangelical leaning churches that I went to, we were always told, not to weep. Do not weep, because we've got hope. Even at funerals, sometimes we were told not to weep because there is hope. So it seems so bizarre to me now, because that almost makes it seem as though hope and anguish can't exist alongside one another. Martha believes with her whole chest that she's going to see her brother again on the day of resurrection. Many Christians wholeheartedly believe the same thing. Jesus knows he's going to see Lazarus again, not in loads and loads of years' time after everybody's died and with the final day. He knows he's going to see him again in a few minutes. And yet he still feels the pain of his loss. He weeps. He feels angry, an emotion that any of us who've experienced loss will be very familiar with as a part of that grief process. Because having hope in the future and finding meaning in death and believing in the resurrection doesn't take away anything from that grief. This is one of those stories for me that it kind of makes the realisation of the incarnation of God in Jesus kind of really hit home for me again. And when I have those moments where it really hits home, my breath kind of catches that I get so moved at the thought that our God became a human being with everything that that entails. Our God knows what it is to weep for friends who died, not from some far-off place, but because he has been a human being whose friends died, and he wept for them. He weeps with us. Now, it's a surprise to nobody, I'm sure, that I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. There's loads of quotes from those books and films that I love, but one of my favourite ones comes right at the end of the third book, when Gandalf is saying goodbye to everybody. He's about to depart for the Grey Havens, which is kind of like allegorical heaven. And he turns to all the hobbits and he says, "I will not say, do not weep, for not all tears are evil." And I love it particularly because I think Tolkien's vision of masculinity isn't this kind of macho, I'm not going to cry. It's, cry? It's okay to cry. You're saying goodbye to your friend. That's really sad. But I'd go one further than Tolkien on this, and I'd say not only are not all tears evil, but I think some tears are holy. Because they are an expression of what it means to be a human being. To experience all the pain and all of the beauty that comes with being a human being, and to not run away from it, to feel it fully. So that is what I'm going to invite us to do in a moment. As we remember and mark our remembrance of those who we love, who have died, I'm going to invite people to bring, if anybody brought a photograph or a memento of any of the people that you've loved and lost, bring it with you and place it on the altar, and light a candle for them. If you haven't brought anything, that's fine. I've got loads of pieces of paper down here and you can write the names of people that you want to remember. There's going to be a video that's going to play. It's about 10 minutes long, so don't feel like you've got to rush. You take your time. Feel what you need to feel. Light the candle, don't light the candle. This is your time. But I'm going to invite us to do that now. And Rebecca's going to make sure that the camera's turned off so that everybody has the privacy that they need to come and